playing around, but isn't an expert in any one of those little things that I want to show you today. So I was thinking just for us all to get to know one another a little bit more, which is anyway, I think the purpose of a community like this. Won't you please in the chat room just put your job title, where you work, and then maybe either whether you're a novice AI person or whether you're an expert. So at least I know who I'm dealing with. And if you don't want to be one of the two, maybe competent in the middle. So novice, competent, or expert, you know. So your job title, where you work, and then where you pitch yourself. And then at least I'll know whether I have to upscale or whether I can just keep it where I was, I was hoping I could operate today. I know in so many of these presentations, you know, you go in and you think people are going to know everything. And then you show them the most silly little thing and they go, oh, wow, and they know nothing. But on the other hand, you also have people in the same room who's done that and 17 times more. So I think we're all together here and we're probably going to learn from one another today as well. So I have a disclaimer. Let me just, so you guys can see my screen, right? Because I've gone through a lot of trouble to show you my beautiful graphics. I'll show you where I got them from a little bit later. So I've been introduced now as an expert on AI, well, I admit I certainly know more than my 83-year-old mum and her cat combined about AI. But I think we might have some experts here today, and so I'm definitely hoping that you'll be able to help out where I get stuck or add to the conversation. My second disclaimer is that my presentation today will not in any way be comprehensive. It's just a couple of things that I played around with over my time since January last year when ChatGPT, as the poster child of all things AI, came on board. And so just a small number of functionalities that I'd like to share with you, and I'm hoping that it will fit in with what you are doing in your own fields. Then I must also have a disclaimer in saying that I certainly don't know everything. In fact, I feel like I know very little, and I feel very disrupted by AI, as I'm sure you guys do too. Even though I'm an early adopter and I usually jump at the opportunity to play with technology the moment it hits the ground, I must say I struggle with seeing where this is going to take us. The enormity of what we can do with AI and how it changes not only just our normal work lives, but also humanity as a whole is really scary to me. And especially some of my colleagues here will know, when we start talking about assessment, I'm still very uneasy about proper ways in which we can utilize the AI instead of blocking it, but also at the same time ensuring the integrity and the quality of our qualifications. And then my last and final disclaimer, and then I'll actually start, is to just say that I'm not promoting any apps today. I'm going to use some of these technologies as just cool things that I've come across, but I'd love to hear from you what AI tools you are using, so that if the ones that I'm showing you are boring you, then at least you have a list of things that are interesting that the other people are working with, that you can go Google afterwards and play as well. So if you want, you could maybe, as we go along, just add your list of AI tools that you've played along with and had success with, so that we can all have a list of things to go and explore when we have a moment. And I must say, whilst I love AI's ability to create graphics, the prompt for this picture was something like a lot of different devices with showing different AI tools in it. And I think you can see that some of them are really weird. I'm not sure that all of these forms exist. And if they do, I'd be really worried about what are they to be used for. Okay, so if you want to add some stuff to the chat so we can have a look. All right, so if you're good, then I'll be talking us through these ones today. But I want to share my screen differently now so that I can. So I'm going to stop sharing this one. And now is when I'm hoping it's going to work. I'm going to do the window and then I'll go here. I want to show my entire row. But it's weird that I can't see what is sharing. I can only see faces. How do I see the actual screen that you guys are seeing?
At the top, there is, I would say it's the taskbar where you would do your camera on your microphone. There's a view option.
Oh, okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it still just shows the pictures though, so it doesn't show the faces. But can you see? Let me go to Magic Tools. Can you see Magic Tools in front of you now?
Yes.
All right, that's good. Then I don't need to see it. I'll just talk in the dark, and you'll let me know if there's anything that you can't see. All right.
Will
so
do.
Thanks. Magic Tool is one of the Magic School is one of the cute little apps that started off really quickly. And I was invited to speak to a bunch of teachers in the Cape a while ago, and I specifically looked for things that school teachers could use. But as I was using it, I was thinking, good grief, this is not just for school kids and for teachers. Certainly lecturers and the likes of me can also use this. And I've identified a couple of favorites that I want to show you, but what I use this site for is often just inspiration. You'll see there are loads of different AI kinds of things here that one can play around with and use. I might just show you one or two. So let's say we have to create a learning program or a learning experience on resistors. Now, I chose the topic resistors because I know literally nothing about it. If you, I'm not married to an engineer. I've got two left thumbs, and so I thought it would be good for me to choose something that I'm completely unfamiliar with, so that I can see whether this would work for me. So you can choose here the level at which you want to pitch it. I'm just going to pitch it at university level. Then you can say what kind of text you want. I'm just going to put procedural for now. It's not important. You can play around with it in your own time. Let's say I want to have a reading text that I want to give my students so that they can, like class notes or, like a summary of what we're going to do. And the topic that we are doing in this week's intervention is the role of color codes in enhancing the reliability of electronic circuits, and somehow resistors and things are all part of that. And so all I need to do is click on generate, and there it goes. It will create me a reading material of whatever. I can then copy it and use it in different things. It talks about understanding the codes, how it enhances accuracy, how I can troubleshoot, and all sorts of interesting things there. So let's say I've now gotten that, and now I want to show a video. And you know that often students, you don't know whether students really actually watch it. And also sometimes we have, let's do the summarizer first. Sometimes we have students who don't have enough data to watch the videos, and so they might just want to have a sort of a summary of what it is in text because of data constraints. So let's just say in this case we also want a one-page summary, and now I click on a video that I've watched before. Let me just show you the video. Can you guys see the video here? Is the video showing up?
It's starting to open up. I think we just need to hit play. There we go.
Okay, so I just Googled randomly. I I'm going to stop it there. Randomly, just a video that had something about resistors and color codes in it. So let's say I've now decided this is the video that I want to show my students as well. I've given them that little note summary thing now. I also want them to watch this video. Then I just take this URL and I take it back to there. I add it in there. I generate, and now it will take the entire video and it will summarize it, and it will tell me what the main points is that I need to understand from that video. And so if students, for example, in our context doesn't have enough data, or they are just not visual learners, they don't want to mess with a YouTube, they just want to scan quickly and find the information, then this is something that without any hassles one can very briefly and very quickly do. So let's say that they've now read the text and they've now watched the video. Now I want to just test them a little bit and see if they know what's going on. So I can say again, at the university level, I only want 3 questions. I want them to be multiple choice. And again, now I just put the video in there. And now it will generate questions for me based on that YouTube video. And luckily for me, it tells me what the answers should be, because I would have had no idea had it not been for for their crooking it. So you can also, if you're at school level, then obviously you can change the levels. At university, they just have 1 level. So obviously it's a little bit limited in that sense, but it certainly gives us at least a starting point. It also has quite a cute little rubric generator, and I'm not going to write proper standards and proper titles. I'm just going to pop it in here. Oh no, sorry, that's not what I should be putting in there. I should actually be putting in the title of the thing, otherwise it's not going to get it. So I'm just putting in our title of the topic that we are busy with. So obviously you can do this much more thoroughly and properly, then it will generate more detailed things. But look how quickly it generates a beautiful rubric, and it gives us proficient, developing, and still beginning. And it's certainly something that with very limited time and effort, one could start your class with. And then I just liked, there's lots of other things here, but the 2 that I also liked is teacher jokes. I thought, if you want to start your classroom and you just want to make a little bit of a difference, then put that in there and see if it can generate. It's really not teacher jokes. It's like dad jokes. You'll see it's not very funny, but at least it's maybe a funky way to start your classroom. So the first joke there is, why did the electronic circuit break up with a resistor? Because it couldn't handle the resistor's colorful personality. Blah, blah, blah. You'll see it's weak, but it's there. Or then somehow, I love this one too. I'm such a sucker for gimmicks. Let's say you had a lovely lesson this week about the resistors and the color codes and all these things. And then you can break them in groups, and you could say, okay, each group must generate a song to help them learn about this. And then you could just use this. They must now use anything about this. Let's say they must use the University of Victoria. Maybe they must say first year. Maybe they must have something about exams in there. You can write any old thing. And then here you can choose a song. Now, I have no idea what Cruel Summer sounds like. I'm not a Swiftie, but let's use that one, because then it's easy to just quickly do it. If you know the song, you'll probably then recognize the lyrics. That could be something that's sung in that way. And then maybe you can get your group A to come and perform their song the first time in the next lecture or something. Okay, so that's just fun stuff to do. Maybe not completely relevant if you're not a teacher, but certainly good enough as an AI generator to get ideas and to start playing around. If you want to do a nice project-based learning lesson, it's nice to create the whole project plan in here. It gives you all the different headings of things that you need. All right. let's say you've done that now, and now you decided, okay, now I do want to in class maybe also just show a little PowerPoint. And for me, to generate a PowerPoint, I just have to find a perfect look and feel first, and that takes sometimes 6 hours, and then 1 hour of really creating the actual PowerPoint. In this case, certainly AI helps. It's much easier to start. You can either use some of your text that you've prepared before, whatever, cut and paste it in here, and then it will help you build a PowerPoint based on your text. Or you can maybe take your study guide with notes in there, you can pop it in here, or you could just generate your own from a one-line prompt. So let's try that for now. I'm going to use the exact same title that we've been using all along. It's going to create 8 different slides, and it's going to, I hate US English, so I'll put it in UK English straight away. And I can either generate a document or a web page, but for this time around, we just do the presentation to show you how it works. And there it is. It shows me the main slides that it thinks I can benefit from. It will have some of the other introductory slide, something about the importance of color codes, the basic principles, the color coding of resistors, capacitors, inductors, diodes, and then a conclusion. So you can then also decide whether you want just brief amount of text, whether you want medium amount or detailed. I'm going to just choose detailed for now, just to give you an indication of how well it does, or how it does. It could be either searches on the web or AI. Let's try for now AI and just give it an idea. And you can even give it a little bit more instruction here. I would just maybe say it's got to be education. So leave that out. So if I click on continue, it will show me themes. And seeing that I'm working with engineers, I don't think I would need a lot of color. Engineers like things, but this is too wavy. They'll like something more geographic. I don't know. Let's choose that one. And we say generate, and now it's going to generate that whole PowerPoint with information and content in it. And if nothing else, at least it starts off by giving you an idea of concepts that you can use, of layouts that you could use, and all that. So I'm going to just check in for a moment with you guys while it's generating. Can you guys confirm that you can see how it's generating and everything's happening on your side?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's like magic.
All right. So what's lovely now is it created the entire thing for me, but it's also editable. So one can now straight away go and you could either just present it, or you can share the link if you want to, or you could go there and you could export it. And you can export it either as a PDF, if you're happy with it exactly as it is, or you can export it as a PowerPoint, so you can still make some changes on it and then present in class. And you see most of these graphics are now computer generated, and obviously therefore don't have any licensing issues of whether you use them or not. The only thing is some of these obviously are flawed. I don't think they're always specifically scientifically correct. And so it's more impression of, and you might want to be more exact and have more real examples, and then you'll do it differently. You won't use the existing ones when you've downloaded it and you use it in PowerPoint. You'll just replace them with real ones. So where do you get those real ones? I'm going to move on to the next tab here. If in the old days, I would just have clicked here and said resistor color codes, it would probably have come up this way, and then I would say, no, I only want the images, and it would give me all these images, some of which are nice and others are less glamorous, but they are all here. But as we know, responsible users, we can't just take and steal it from here. We have to look at the rights And if we then go to tools and user rights, and we say, only show me those with a Creative Commons license, which is really what we should be doing if we're ethical, these are the only ones that we can play around with. And then the options are so much more limited than what they were on the other side. But now, luckily, we don't have to bother with only Google. There are all sorts of other options now as well, and that takes me to the next one. I absolutely love this little Copilot app. You get lots of credits. I'm down to 24. I've been creating so many. You can see here I've been busy. I played around with it. You'll see, there's the one that I did on the disclaimer. And you see, you'll know that if you played around with these things that AI is not great with words yet. When it has to do graphics that includes words, so I had to paste something over that. But I maybe said for this one, I said as a prompt, the role of color codes in enhancing the reliability of electronic circuits, and it became an artwork almost. So if you want to sort of suggest the look and feel rather than have a very scientific look, then something like this could very easily work. And it's interesting to play around with different things to see what it does. It always, this particular, it's Bing, it's called Copilot, but it's bing.com/images, then you'll get it. You'll see what's nice. It always creates 4 different ones, and you can choose. You can save them all if you want, by just right-clicking on it. And then it's yours. You can copy it, and you can save it, and you can do anything else with it. And now it's not copyright protected like the ones that we had here in Google, the limited ones. And you see, if it's an artistic look and feel you want, you definitely want to go for this one. And if it's more scientific, then maybe Google is still the best to go. So I played around. I wasn't not impressed with Mona Lisa, and I don't think engineers would have been. But I loved when I said, make me a painting of Einstein holding a resistor in class. And so I don't know how accurate any of this is, but it's cute that he's in there. And then I thought, let me see if it can do more South African-based stuff as well. And I asked a painting of Malema holding a resistor in class, and it made things that could possibly relate to Malema with a red cap, but these people certainly have very distinct other features, other politicians' looks in their faces. And I realized things afterwards, because I then said, okay, well, please, you'll see there on the right-hand side, my next prompt was blocked. I asked for Cyril Ramaphosa to hold a resistor, and it said, no, it's against their policies, and I can most certainly not get him to hold a resistor in class. And so it was that prompt was blocked. But it's a lovely tool to play around with if you need a look and feel for something and you're not too strict on the scientific value of things. Right, but these are all sorts of lots of different kinds of things that you need passwords for all of them, and you need usernames, and if you're like me, you get lost in more. I try to use the same things, and then one wants 9 characters instead of the normal 7, then I've got to add something else to it, and then I forget, and then it's crazy. So I don't know if you remember, in 2003-04, MySpace and Facebook started. And typically, if there's something new, I jump in and I create a presence on everything, and I played around there, and it was all great. And then later on, more and more and more features were added to Facebook, and eventually I never went back to MySpace. And eventually, years later, I think in 2008-ish, around there, I think Justin Timberlake, of all people, bought it and MySpace and made it into some other music repository, or something to do with music now. And now we only have Facebook. So I'm guessing that there are going to be the same kind of thing happening in the AI space. There's quite a number of very small little different tools, and everyone is excited, but for each one you need to have a learning curve, and for each one you have to have usernames and passwords and stuff. So I somehow settled in with ChatGPT, uneasily comfortable with it at this stage. I'm not happy to admit it, but it's my go-to AI thing if I need anything. And if we need something in ChatGPT, I want to show you that it's ChatGPT 4 though. It's the older version. The 3.5 version is obviously the free one. I'm sucker enough to pay that 380, I think, more or less rand per month for the benefit of having the full package. And I'll show you a couple of the things that I'm currently doing in here. The one thing is, if let's say, for example, I'm now looking for a resistor, that's definitely something that I could search for. So can I say create an image showing the color codes of a resistor, and then we wait for it. And amazingly enough, in ChatGPT 4, you'll see that it is using DAL-E, which is, I think, similar to the one that Bing is using in the background. I think so. But in this case, it will only create one image. And so if I'm in this and I'm doing it and the first time around it gets it right, it's all good. I use this one. But if not, then I quickly hop over to the other one and I'll take it from there further. So I don't think this is very scientific. I don't think it's of any real value other than it's pretty to look at. But so you can now from text get some or other picture. So depending on what your discipline is, you can type in text and you can get a picture. But the nice thing is that you can also do it the other way around. So I don't know if you saw earlier on when we were here with the color codes, I cut and pasted this one. Just open it up a little bit bigger so you can see. Because it's open, I know I can use it. And I right-clicked on it and I copied it. And if I now go to ChatGPT and I put it in there, I can say, tell me what this pic is all about. And then it will actually do it as well. So in the other way around, so instead of giving it words and it gives you a picture, you can now give it a picture and then it will give you words. It will tell you what it's all about, what these different things are, what it is that it sees, and it's almost a little lesson that you can do. So if ever your students run into a graphic that they're not sure of, or they want more explanation, or they don't quite understand, then they can come and put it in here and ask ChatGPT to tell them what it is, and they'll get a very basic entry-level explanation of what it is that ChatGPT is seeing there. And a year ago, ChatGPT couldn't do this. I think this was only about 6 months ago that this feature started. Then I thought, okay, let's say now we got the start of a lesson, but let's say we want to do a proper lesson. So I want to sort of create a learning experience for the week. I'm an online teacher. I want to create a really good lesson. So let's say I want to say, write me, or let's just say write learning outcomes for a lesson on, and then let me just get that long title again. I don't have to retype everything. There we go. The role of codes, blah, blah, blah. On an NQF level 5. And I'm adding that so that it knows that it's got a picture at university level. This is typically where first years would be when they learn about these things. So I'm going to say, let's generate that. And within a couple of seconds, if the internet allows us, it will go through and it will start writing those learning outcomes. Now, if you've either a learning designer or you are a lecturer or you're a trainer, you'll know that creating learning outcomes sounds very easy and simple, but it certainly isn't. We know that it takes forever because you have to carefully think about what you want your students to learn in the end and how you write it in a way that makes logical sense to them. And I think our internet is now even as slow as it normally is. But I think even if it's slow, it will still be faster than what you can do it on your own. I'm going to do it again because I think maybe I should just be patient. It's definitely processing it. I don't know if you guys heard, but there are some cables that were stolen apparently, or are not stolen, but that were damaged or something. And so lots of internet problems throughout the day.
Yes, it had me quite nervous about tonight. And apparently your Microsoft is also, they had experienced problems in the middle of the day today. I don't know if it was which time zone, but yeah, a lot of things all together is playing against us.
Yeah, but so I'm sure you know how this works. This is the easy part where you can very briefly get or very quickly get those learning outcomes. It, under normal circumstance, it goes and it writes it and they're all there and you can cut and paste them and continue. And once you're done with that, then you can just continue and say, okay, now write assessment criteria. And you don't even have to tell it what the assessment criteria needs to be about, because it is like you are in a conversation with ChatGPT. It still knows what you are talking about, and it will go straight there, and it will give you the assessment criteria on this topic that we're busy with. So I'll just quickly wait, because there's one thing that I want to show you after that's more exciting than this. Because I think many of you have probably played around with this and are very familiar with how you can also tell it that you are a lecturer of a first year engineering student course, and that you are within this context, and that you want to have that level of detail, and that you want it pitched at NQF level 5 and whatever else you want. And then it can certainly customize it for you depending on what your instructions were. And so I just need to tell it to write now assessment criteria. It will then take this and write it in that format as well. You can then also ask it to do, I first asked it to do detailed lecture notes for me on the topic. And then it gave me ideas of what I could do, not the actual content of what I wanted to do. Then I said, no, give me rather class notes that I can hand out afterwards so that I can have the actual wording. What do I need to tell the students? What is what are the color codes meant to do? And how do you test them? And how do you troubleshoot? And how do you blah, 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 all of that. And then it gave me a beautiful list of you can also say a 1-pager or 2 pages. You can make it really detailed. So I'm not going to do that one now, but the next one I want to show you that is very cute also is to say, well, okay, multiple choice questions. Let's say just two multiple choice questions on the topic. But if I just say that, it gives me two multiple choice topics. If I add to this with formative feedback for each of the distractors, then it's a way better question bank that you are building, and it's real formative learning. So now, after the students have now read that little bit that you've now created for them, they watched the video, they've read through all the learning outcomes, they know now everything, they can quickly come and do the multiple choice questions. And if they get it wrong, they will get formative feedback and explaining to them what it is that they want to. I'm just going to continue so that you can see how that works. And I really like the formative feedback bit. And so I think it's part of, and you probably know this, is part of the wealth of data that you get back, is the way in which you prompt the system to get it in for you. Okay, so there's my 2 questions. It gives me now the correct answer, but it also gives me feedback on all the incorrect ones. And it will tell me, if I ask them, what does the gold band on the resistor indicate? And maybe I chose A, it would tell me, no, it does not indicate the value is higher. It signifies the tolerance range. So it's lovely. Just one question like this in the old days would take me, I think, a day to create. Because you have to really think carefully about what those distractors are, that they are solid. You have to then write these this feedback. Honestly, building a objective test database hasn't been easier. All right, so let's say now the guys have done the test. Now I'm coming to something that I'm hoping is new for some of you. With ChatGPT-4, you can now add documents to it, like we've earlier added that little picture. I'm now going to add a spreadsheet with data. Now, this is not a real test, of course. It's another group of students. I've just taken out some of the details there. But let's pretend they've now written this test, and now I have some data. And I want to know now, my class is asking me, what's the average, ma'am? I want to know whether I'm doing well or whether I'm below average. And I think, oh, my goodness, stats I haven't had for ages. So let me see if I can find analyze the data and tell me what the average mark is. And then we give it a go, and ChatGPT will now go into that thing, will analyze it, and will definitely come back with an error. It will tell us it's the mean, and it will explain a little bit about how it got to it. And if you're anything like me, I'm horrible with stats, but I love knowing about it. So now it says error analyzing it. I'm going to do it again. What it does is, so I can also ask it, what kinds of questions can I ask you? Because sometimes I don't know exactly what it is that I have to ask it, but I know there's rich data and there must be something good coming from it. And I want to sort of write a little report on this data. Maybe you've presented a class and you've gotten rich data, and now you want to write a report on what the findings are. You can come and put it in here, and it's as if you have a statistician sitting next to you and giving you information. So let me just ask it, what questions can I ask you about this data set? Let me say, what statistical questions can I ask you? So it's more precise. And now hopefully it's not going to error again. And I'm sure it's erroring because of the low bandwidth. But it's analyzing the data, and then it's going to tell me, well, I can ask it the mean, I can ask it to do a t-test on it, or a Cronbach alpha, or you'll know all those words if you're a statistician. And this is the one that I was most excited about. Now I see it's not. Okay, all right, there it goes. It at least gives us a little bit of information, and it gives me now questions that I can ask it. So what's the median? What's the range? What's the correlation between the student years and the GPA? Are there any outliers? These are the kinds of questions that I might not even have thought about. And based on the data that I have there, I can actually see it. I can't show you the sheet now because I'm going to have to log out and then log in, or cancel and in. But the demo sheet simply had three sections. It had a student number, the year was whether they're a first year student or a senior, and then a mark. And based on that, I can now ask it any of these questions and it will be telling me. So let me just make sure that I ask you I show you at least the average. Average GPA. And you'll see I don't even have to really write full sentences anymore, because it now knows that we're busy with this spreadsheet. And if you're in a hurry like I am, you're not always kind. And then sometimes on another day, I find myself that I say please and thank you. It's a very weird relationship that we have with this AI chap. All right, and there it actually now worked it out for me. It says it's 54.4, and it actually tells me something about the range, and it tells me about an error, and it would be advisable to review, all sorts of things that I think a proper statistician would have been able to tell me. But I would have had to book a session with them, and I would have had to go there. Whereas now I can write a nice little report up without ever having seen a statistician and without knowing anything about stats. I'll be able to report on the data. All right. So now that I've done that, I actually want to. There are students who might not be happy with reading all the time. Our millennials definitely want videos. And until we have Sora is coming, the video, the text to video function. While we wait for that, we can maybe at least say, write me a script for a 1 minute introductory video on the topic of, and then we just do our same old topic that we've done the whole time. Just go there like that, and then it will now write me the script. It will tell me what I need to say, because and nowadays it's so easy to make a little video with your own webcam, just recording it in your own voice so that students get a feel for who and what you are. And if you say something like this at the beginning of the week, it gives them an idea of what lies ahead in the week, and you can use this or you can edit it, of course, in any which way. But at least now, for those of us who are a little bit scared to speak in front of a camera, it gives you something to read if you do get stuck. All right, so this is if you want to do everything in ChatGPT. But there are, even on this level, there are other tools that in this case I would rather use, and this is Hygiene. So I'm so excited about Hygiene. Now, it does cost a little bit of money, not a lot. If you want to use, the first little bit is free, and then if you want to do the nice stuff, then you obviously have to pay. But I'm almost at the point where I think it's worthwhile paying a little bit, and for the time it saves and for the value that it adds, it might be worth it. So Hygiene is a program, an AI program that gives you all sorts of templates. So if you don't want to think up something by yourself, you can come and just get a little template. These are video templates. Or you can create your own avatar, which is lovely. You can make your own, or they've got a library of 162 people here. And you'll see it's not 100% representative, but at least we do have, Zoe in a suit. And if you want to hear what she sounds like, this is what she. And then maybe you want to see her. Where is she? Now she's in a hoodie. So you'll find dear old Jake here. He's in a suit, but for now they are speaking. You'll hear the accents aren't really what we know, but I came across one, and I'll show you later. Yeah, here it is. We can also change the voice. So now there are British English and there's American English. But they also now have added South African English. And I must say, I feel a little bit offended, because if we sound like that, but it's typically like also when you watch movies and they try and do a South African accent, I always think we don't sound like that. So maybe we do sound like this, but I'm not happy with this. But it's at least they've tried. There is already a South African version too. And Luke, he's the male figure. I honestly hope we don't sound like this. anyway, so these are different voices, and then there are some that are a little bit less specific, and you. So you can go around and play with those and see which one works for you. And then you can either do your own, you can have a photo avatar, you can do a template. I just want to quickly show you the AI script, and then that is what I'll wrap up with for today. So, you know, what we did in ChatGPT now was the long way around, having written there, and then we'll have to videotape it all. So if I really don't have time, all I want to do is put in my little thing here. I can actually take that part out and just put the topic in. Say just the role of color codes. That's our topic. We want it professional. I don't want to put anything else in there. I just want it to generate the script for me. I'm in a hurry. And there it goes. It's going to tell you a little bit about it. It's going to give you 5 scenes. And if you look at it, it's quite fine. It tells you, for example, in scene 2, it will say, now you might be wondering, what exactly are color codes and why are they important? So this is the real script that needs to be read in the video. And then you don't have to read it yourself. You can just create the video. Click there. And now you have all these different guys. I most certainly do not want that very traditional guy. I would much rather have this one. Maybe does he look like an engineer? Let me use Joey again. Let's say Joey is an exceptional engineer, and she's a role model for all girls who wants to make it in the world of men. So now Zoe is there. You'll see that below here, that text that was generated about resistors are in here. And just to play around, you can now see what it sounds like. So I'm just going to play for a second so you can get an idea. So I think you get the idea. I think I should have chosen a man now. I obviously don't have the right voice for the lady, so I'll have to make sure that I sync the gender. But you get the idea. It will read it. She will read it, and her lips will move, and she will look the way as if she is presenting it. And if you really are keen on doing it yourself, you can also create your own. You can record your own voice. That's the lovely part of it, because you read a little bit of text, it picks up how you sound, and then it actually, whatever is written in that block, it will then actually read in your voice going forward. And so it's so easy to generate videos, and you don't have to have 7 takes because you ummed and ah or you coughed in between. You just do the reading with your normal voice once. Hygiene knows what it sounds like, and it then uses your voice and your intonation to create the videos from there going onwards. So I want to stop there because I see our time is out. And I certainly hope there was at least one thing that you didn't know. And if not, we have to put other things in the corner here so that people still find benefit from this, from the session this evening. Who do I give back to? Are there any questions or comments maybe?
Marie?
Yes.
Yeah, you found it.
Thank you, Linda. Maybe you can stop sharing your screen because I'm looking at myself twice on the screen.
Now, how do I do that again?
Face. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we have heard so many things, and sometimes we hear people talking about things, but for me, it was extremely nice to see it happening in real time, because it's easy to tell people, oh, you just put in that document there, and then it gives you this and that. And then when people try it out, they don't have the paid version. But now we could have seen, here you are in paid versions, here you tell us that this is free, etc. I have a question for you, and that is not towards the end of your presentation, but more towards the beginning when you were busy with Magic School. I was like feeling, what will the role of a learning designer be if teachers and people can just do all of these things quickly? We take weeks and weeks to get this out of people. And yeah, here it is just like the snap of your finger, it's there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said at the beginning as well. It's not just changing, it's changing humanity as it is. It's changing careers. It's changing who we are as a species. It's changing what we think about learning. Is it still important for us to summarize? Because whatever AI I put things in can do it 1,700 million times faster than I can, and better. Yes, there are some mistakes, and sometimes one's got to check it. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but the thing is, it is so much better than what I would have done and faster. So is it still important for students to write? Because trust me, between Grammarly and whatever else features there are online, AI can write better than I can. Is it still important for us to critically think about something? Or can I ask ChatGPT to criticize something and it will give me things? And that unsettles me greatly. And so that's what I said at the beginning. Whilst I am an avid technology user, I jump on the opportunity. If there's something new, I want to know, I want to play with it, and I'm the first to introduce it. This is the first time ever in my decades of experience in this field that I feel unsettled, thinking not only just how does it impact us, our lives and our livelihood. You know, a computer can do something now better than any one of us. You know that just to do the learning outcomes and the assessment criteria and 5 multiple choice questions would take us 6 months. You know, well, a couple of months with if we sit with lecturers to and fro, feedback, then they do it again, then we give them feedback again, and then we eventually write it for them. Then it's still, you know, not perfect, but it's still okay. It's at least there. Now we were less than an hour, and I had a lesson that I could almost, if I just pushed it into Blackboard, I could do it tomorrow. I could present that lecture knowing nothing about resistors, not being an engineer. You know, I thought those color codes were cute and nice. I didn't realize they each have a very distinct, significant meaning to it. So it's not just our jobs, doctors. There's already medical services online. You put your symptoms in, it comes out with a, you know, it asks you follow-up questions, and it's not always right. You know, you always have cancer and you always have the worst thing possible, and you're probably going to die tomorrow of it, but you get a very good impression of what the symptoms are and how things work and all of that. So it's not just our world. I think it's the way we think about the world is going to change, and I don't have any answers yet. Nothing, zero wisdom for anyone who asks me about the impact on assessment in higher education. It stirs me, it unsettles me, and I certainly have, we're going to have to change the nature of learning, because no current method, even creative as it could be with change your prompts or look at this, look at that, makes a difference. In terms of really making sure that students engage, build those critical thinking skills, are able to problem solve, are able to apply things. None of that I can test in a way that students can't use AI and get a better result than what they would have done without it. So yeah, I'm unsettled, and I'm sure that's not the PC answer to give in a group like this, but we're friends, like we're all in the same boat, I'm hoping. It should unsettle us, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. And I think that was part of when we start talking about creating a group like this, is also to give us an opportunity to cry on each other's shoulder, because it's true what you are saying. We are unsettled, and they are. Every time I think I have a solution, I can do an assignment in this way, then ChatGPT can do it for me, or whatever language model you are using. So yeah, I think we will continue the journey, and we will continue to figure this out. That it's going to disrupt us, that is true. That is the one thing that we are certain of, that we can shy away from that. That's not possible. We need to prepare our students for the future, and this is what the future will be part of. So we need to embrace it and continue. Thank you so much, Linda, for this. I think you did it. You got to the inspire part. It might be that we have heard about many of these things, but to physically see it happening, for me personally, that was very nice to see. I want to ask or give one opportunity for anybody from the audience who have a question. So it's just not me speaking. Is there anybody who wants to unmute themselves quickly and ask one question about the presentation or one concern before we conclude? I hope you'll be able to unmute yourself and then speak.
I can see there's being typed in the chat. So if that is a question, I would read it. I'm not sure if the person is experiencing problems, but I'll see what's being typed. Okay. And if anybody, yeah, that's maybe an idea if the mics doesn't want to work. While we're waiting for the typing, it was beginning of last year, I attended a session also on ChatGPT, and it was Steven Zyman that said, somebody using, it was on the thing of replacing us, we're not having work, it will all be generative. So he says, no, you don't need to fear it, because somebody using generative AI will replace you, not ChatGPT, for example, which was very interesting. Okay, so we just have a thank you, most useful session. Thank you, ready to go and explore more. Thank you, Professor Holzhausen. Yeah, so I think it was a comment and saying thank you, Marie, that was typed.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for attending this. We are going to communicate on our LinkedIn group. I nearly said primary circle, the visionary circle, what our next session will, when it will be and what it will be about. Our aim is to have like-minded people together and share, and some of the times we will ask people to also come and present, but we want it to be a collective effort. So if you have any ideas or anything that you want us to share in the forum like this, please let us know. I think many of you know us already, but you are welcome to just send us a message through LinkedIn. I also post this on my Facebook, so you will also find me there as well. But thank you very much for Linda, for you first, for presenting to us, Romanda for starting this conversation, and then for each one of you who have attended. We really appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Keep well. Bye-bye.